I was 15 when I picked up the guitar, and back then I thought that a good solo had to be played all over the neck. I was wrong, of course. Now I realize my mistake. You know what's interesting? Now, when students come to me asking me, hey, how do I play all over the neck? My answer is, don't. Before you try memorizing the whole neck and playing all over the fretboard, do this. We're gonna talk about that. Hello, my name is David. Welcome to this channel, which is all about helping you express yourself on the guitar. We're going to talk about small, narrow slices of the fretboard, which you're going to discover is oftentimes much better than a wide area of the fretboard, and even more exciting sometimes. Now, before we get started, I'd like to invite you to a free masterclass that goes more in depth with this kind of thing. It's based on the blues. If you haven't signed up yet, it's free, and the link is below, so check it out, sign up, and let's dive into this video. Today, we're working with a typical blues in G. We're in G minor. It's a G minor blues. There are 3 different chords. The first chord is a G minor, that one right here. And over that G minor, we're going to start playing with the arpeggio of a G minor chord. Then here's that second chord. This is a C minor, and we're going to start phrasing with notes of C minor. And then back to the G minor right here, still phrase with G minor, and then we have the D minor chord right here. So we have 3 different chords. Now, when we're comping, when we're playing rhythm, we're typically going to go with the chord shapes and positions that we're comfortable with. So in this case, most of the time, we're going to start with this G minor chord right here, the bar position. We're in that zone of the fretboard between frets 3 and 6. So just a G minor chord. And then we have the C minor chord right here, the bar position. And then when we reach that D minor, we're typically going to use the same position that we're using in C minor, but 2 frets higher, like that. Okay, so that's what's going on. That's fine. However, we're not going to do that here. We're gonna bring these 3 chords to the same slice of the fretboard. Now, a slice of the fretboard is going to be a narrow slice. Typically, that slice, that segment of the fretboard, is going to be covering 4 frets, 1 finger per fret. So that kind of zone of the fretboard. Now, if we need to go 1 fret below, that's okay. 1 fret higher, that's okay, but no more than that. So here, we're going to cover that slice of the fretboard between frets 2 and 6 at the most. So the goal here is to phrase using that slice of the fretboard. Then we'll expand to others and we'll see what happens. The tools we're going to use to start phrasing and developing that deep knowledge of the fretboard are arpeggios. We're going to use arpeggios here to highlight the chords that are happening in the backing track. We're going to use 4-note arpeggios. We could use 3-note arpeggios, 5, it doesn't matter. But 4 is a good common type of tool we can use. A 4-note arpeggio with a root, a 3rd, a 5th, and a 7th. Now, if that's over your head, follow my lead. It's going to be okay. An arpeggio is basically a broken chord. So if I'm playing that first chord that we had in the backing track here, that's a G minor 7. Well, I'm taking the notes of G minor 7 and reorganizing them in alphabetical order. That's all I'm doing. So here's that G minor 7 arpeggio. Over this backing track, all these notes are going to work well over that first chord. Now here's the second chord right here, and that's a C minor 7 chord. Now here's where we're going to have to work a little bit. We need to find a C minor chord within that slice of the fretboard. Now, in this case, it's great because the first chord that typically will come to mind, like I was playing a couple minutes ago, happens to fit that position of the fretboard. It's the C minor chord, so that does fit the slice we're using here. And now we're going to list our C minor 7 arpeggio, but we're going to focus on that particular slice. We're keeping everything in that slice of the fretboard. So let's see what happens when we do that. Here's my first chord, G minor 7. Here's the C minor 7. And back to G minor 7. Now here, this is a D minor 7 in the same slice of the fretboard. And then back to G minor 7. So everything is contained here. Now if I phrase, I'm forced to playing that zone of the fretboard. Let's see if we can develop some melodic ideas. Now you can blend to that the minor pentatonic scale if you'd like, but if you don't, it's going to sound very melodic. Because you're targeting the notes of the chords. The best way to work on this is actually without the backing track, which, by the way, you can download for free. The link is below. Check that out if you'd like to download the backing track. But again, the best way to really know that you're mastering this is without the backing track. Your job is to imagine the chords in the background, use the arpeggios of these chords, to which you can blend the minor pentatonic scale if you want, and try to suggest these chords without having to hear the chords. Let's see if I can do that. Hopefully you're hearing this chord. Let's see if you hear the change. You heard that one, right? Yep, we're back to the G. Let me see if I can suggest the D minor. Hopefully you heard that, and then back to that one. Now I realized something that I wanted to talk to you about before we expand this a little bit. How can I say this? Would you please subscribe to the channel? There's a lot of people who watch the videos and don't subscribe, which is completely cool. That's great. I'm gonna tell you why. To flatter my ego. I have an ego, it just helps spread the message. As you know, these videos are free, and I have to pay the bills. I pay the bills with a little bit of advertising on YouTube and selling my courses, and anyways, the more it grows, the more I can pay my bills, the more I can provide free lessons. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love your subscription. That was really awkward. Let's continue the lesson. Okay, we're gonna continue developing that. So that's where it becomes really interesting, because that zone of the fretboard we just used is typically a very comfortable zone of the fretboard. You know, if I'm asking you to play let's jam on a blues in A, where you're gonna find your A on the fretboard, bam, here it is, a 5th fret, minor pentatonic, or target the arpeggio notes like we're doing here, and that's your zone of the fretboard. That's what directed that zone right here that we were just playing in. You're too comfortable and not really beneficial. So we're gonna pick another area of the fretboard. How does it work? Like this. You're going to close your eyes and just place your fingers on the fretboard. Bam, right here. I don't know where I'm at. Take a look. Okay, between frets 9 and 12, that's my zone that I'm going to use. All right, my job is to find in that zone of the fretboard between frets 9 and 12, the arpeggios that will match the backing track. Now remember, a zone of the fretboard is going to be, have a span of 6 frets, because you've got your zone here, starting on fret 9, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can go 1 fret lower and 1 fret higher. More than that, you're moving into another zone. So we're gonna try to find first the roots of the backing track. So the first chord is a G. All right, I've got a G right here on the 5th string, 10th fret. If you don't know that, you could just use your ear, just listen to the first chord and try to match that. Here it is. All right, so I've got a G here. Now remember, my zone of the fretboard is right here between frets 9 and 12, right? My G is on fret number 10. So my position needs to happen in that zone of the fretboard. Therefore, my position here that has the root on the 5th string, 10th fret needs to happen from my perspective on the right side of that root. Because if it's on the left side, towards the neck, well, I'm going to be outside of that zone. Whereas here I can remain in that zone. So I need to find an arpeggio position that has a root on the 5th string and happens on the right side. Now this will be the topic of another video. We're kind of getting into the caged system. That's what it is. Not necessary for now. All you need to know is that we're trying to stick to the zones of the fretboard right here. The cage system will just help you do that very fast. All right, so we've got, this is the arpeggio that we need. For the G minor 7. That's a little uncomfortable, right? But we're gonna try anyways over the backing track. Then we've got a C, so we've got to find a C in that zone of the fretboard. Uh-oh, I have one right here. Now that is also going to be an interesting position. This C right here, and again, you can use your ear. This C happens on the 4th string, 10th fret. And again, because we're trying to phrase in that zone of the fretboard, it needs to happen on the right side. You might not know that position. Use your ears or use some diagrams or charts or whatever you need, but that's what we're going to do. So let's try to phrase over all this, just using our ears and trying to stay within this slice of the fretboard. Here's the C. Here's the D. That's some of the fretboard. I'm playing a little slower, but I'm really using my ear. This is the free masterclass I told you about. Click here to sign up. It's completely free. We will walk through this together step by step, slower than we did here. It's really going to help you. Right here, and then please subscribe. I'll meet you in the masterclass.